Welcome back to Inside Ambition. I'm your host, Alexandra George. Here at the show, we strongly support the Black Lives Matter movement. And as such, we wanted to use our platform to elevate some Black student voices. It seems all we're hearing from right now is the administration and about their plans of how to be actively anti-racist in the future. But is that enough? My conversation with these Black student leaders was very meaningful, and I wanted to make sure we talked about as much as we could. But the conversation is never over when it comes to discussing civil rights. So our interview ran a little bit long, and I ran into some technical difficulties. That's why I'm refilming this intro for you right now. And you might be missing my face throughout the show. But that's okay, because this isn't about me. This is about Drexel's Black community and what we need to be doing to better support them. Here's what they had to say. Welcome back to Inside Ambition. I'm Alexandra George, and today we're talking to some prominent Black student leaders about what's going on in the world. Since Drexel is a PWI, we wanted to use our platform to elevate these student voices. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good.
Great.
Well.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. Would you just take a second to introduce yourselves and what year you are at Drexel and what you're doing on this call? That would be great.
All right, so my name is Kennedy Jackmon. I'm a fifth year at Drexel for their BS/MS program. So I'm in Criminology and Justice Policy as the bachelor's in urban strategy for the master's. I guess I would say I'm on this call because I've been seen as a Black leader on campus, from being the event coordinator as well as president for Drexel's Black Action Committee. I also serve on the board for Drexel's Philanthropy Council. And currently right now I'm also a vice president of organization on Temple. So I kind of just bounce around from the two different campuses.
Very nice.
But I'm always here when I need help.
My name is Jane-janette Ansah, and I'm a third-year communications major with a minor in screenwriting and TV production. And I'm the president for the Drexel African Students Association. I've been part of that organization the whole time I've been at Drexel. So I'm excited to be here today to share my thoughts. I think Africans also bring a different perspective to everything that's going on. But I was raised in an African household, but born in America, raised as a Black girl. So I have both sides of the coin, kind of. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Khalil McFarlane. This is the first time I'm saying this, but I am a graduate of Drexel University. Class of 2020. I recently served as the vice president of the Criminal Justice Society, as alongside the vice president of the Criminal Justice Honor Society. I too am very looking forward to this phone call and discussing the current climate that we are in right now.
Thank you all so much for being here. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone watching at home does as well. So let's just jump right in. Like Khalil mentioned, the current climate we're in right now is something else, but the reality of the fact is these conversations have been happening for decades, really, really long amounts of time. So why do you think it's become so public with the murder of George Floyd? What's different this time? Yeah, go for it.
I don't think George Floyd was the tipping point, if you will. I think that there's been protests and outcry for decades that we've been crying for equality. I think and this is my opinion, I think that coronavirus and the quarantine, the lockdown, really helped push this movement and gave it the energy that it needed. A lot of people in the past wouldn't protest because they had to work or they had something to do. But with everyone at home for 3 months and only receiving one check of $1,200 to cover them 3 months, I think everyone's a little uneasy. And then also when you add on that on top of the current struggles that African Americans and people of color have to go through, it was just like, enough is enough. you clearly don't care about us, and we're not going to sit here and be peaceful anymore. If I can't go to work, I can't, even drive my car, I can't even take a walk, I can't do anything. What's the point of me living here anymore? Like, something has to give. And I think that this quarantine really, really helped people to get up and say enough is enough.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you mentioned people are stuck in their homes. They might be more agitated than they might usually be. Something the media has been covering a lot, it might not be happening as much as we're seeing it on the news, is the rioting and the looting that's happening. What's your guys' take on how some of these protests are turning out? Some people are very against it. Some people are like, it is what it is. What is your perspective?
I would just have to say that I am not for robbing things, but I can definitely understand as to why some people are doing the things that they are doing. Now, I know our movement has been hijacked by different groups who, happen to deal into white supremacy. So I have been seeing some people who are actually being set up and places of business are being broken into on purpose.
Yeah.
As Khalil has said, when you have 4 months, because I think it's going on 4 months now, when you go on 4 months with $12,000, you have to do something to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting how Black businesses were being looted. I thought that was very interesting. But all in all, I just think when you have an outcry like this, something has to give. So like when you rob different stores like Target, knowing their background, there's a reason why some people are doing the things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's reasons for everything, but like just I would really look into it if that's something that you're really interested in, because of the reasons why are very important and very interesting.
For sure. I was on a call the other day with Maurice Kottman. You guys probably know him. He works with diversity and inclusion at Drexel. And he said about the looting, he's like, if you want people to pay attention, you got to go where the money is. People aren't going to pay attention until you're affecting their cash flow, which I think is really interesting. But I personally believe it's a shame that there's so much coverage about the looting and not about the movement itself. In reference to Drexel's response to what's been going on, I know that the original emails that were sent angered, I feel like is a good word, a lot of students. And I know, Kennedy, you worked with Drexel United, and the student voice trying to tell administration, we need more. We need more from you. So what do you think about the latest email that was sent and Drexel's response in general?
I think I also worked with Drexel United on those demands, and I don't know really how I feel about it. I feel like I'm kind of just waiting to see how it all plays out. I think it's about time. I don't know if you know about, like, there's a room in the basement of Crease.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all remember the name of it right now. It's not coming to my head, but it's like for the Black community. And it's just a small little room in the basement. And I always thought it was just so rude to just put that room down there, And now that they're like trying to build this Black Cultural Center, I'm interested to see how it'll be and how it'll turn out. I do hope that in the email they said that they will use Black student leaders to, help with the task force and everything like that. So I'm excited to see how that'll play out. But I also feel like, and this is how I feel like on a broader scope of like everything that's happening. But we all knew like this was a problem from a long time, and I'm glad to see that people are like starting to take action. But it's like, why did it have to take all this time? Like sometimes some things seem a little bit ingenuine, and it's only happening because now it's like, I don't want to say like it's a trend, but like it's on the forefront. Like if you don't do it, you're a racist basically. So I kind of have those feelings about it, but at the end of the day, I hope that Drexel does right by us. I mean, as they should. They're including the students, so I hope that it'll be something positive. I know a lot of the other Black student leaders are joining the task force as well. So as long as our voice is heard and we're educating people, and I think they could do more. Another thing that we need to be asking more is more Black faculty. That's what Drexel needs to do. We need to see more Black teachers. I'm in the comm department, and for 3 years, I haven't had one Black professor, not one. And it just, to this day, it still blows my mind. So there's more to be done, and I'm just hoping we could keep putting pressure on Drexel.
And I know that Kim Golston, the new Chief Diversity Officer, she's been at Drexel for a while, but they've recently added this position for her. Her voice is being elevated within administration, and I have a relationship with her. So I hope that, knowing her, that not just her, but exactly like you said, we need more Black leaders within admin and faculty. Because otherwise it's like, what are you doing? What's the point? So, I mean, by the time this video is released, and we've already seen a lot of the conversation, especially on social media, dying down a little bit. I know that's not the case for some of us, but we definitely will see photos of people at the beach and with their friends, which they shouldn't be doing anyway because of the pandemic, on our feeds. What are your perspectives when it comes to the conversation that's happening on social media?
I'll say something. Just speaking to me personally, like, I know I've, like, seen it kind of, like, die down on my timeline. So, like, I have, like, kind of made a way to make sure that I'm still posting some things, but also kind of just regulating how I am. Like, I just feel like as Black people, we never get a chance to mourn. And this is one of our main times that we're actually getting the chance to mourn. And we have been mourning every single day since then. I think I saw a post that said over like 120 people have died since George Floyd has died. And he died 20 days ago, if I'm not wrong. So that's a lot of deaths. We're seeing a lot of Black people being hung. Like 400 years have just been overturned within a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, yes, the movement isn't over, but it's also important to find some kind of normalcy because it is a very strange time that we're living in. So what I do personally is, I'll post the normal stuff that I post, my everyday things, but I also make sure that I'm still a part of the movement because I don't want that to die down. Because I actually found out a week ago that George Floyd is my cousin. I never met him, but I found out that he was my family, and that kind of, I was already invested. Drexel United was already created after I found out, but it was very strange to me because of how personal it got. Now I'm being affected. So, I don't know. I just feel like, be a part of the movement, yes, but also find some type of normalcy so that you can cope and you can mourn and you can grieve during this time. Because even I have just stepped back from social media for a while because I'm just tired of seeing my people killed. And I'm tired of seeing those videos on my TL. It's important to show them, but it's triggering for me after a while. So I think just having a balance of both is effective enough.
Yeah. Wow. Kennedy, thank you for sharing. I'm really sorry that was also a personal loss to your family as well. I'm not sure what the best question to ask next is, but how are you guys, Kennedy, you just touched on it a little bit, but how are you guys taking care of yourselves right now? Like you said, Kennedy, this is a lot. This is a lot. And your community hasn't been given the time to mourn, and you're also being brought to the forefront of these conversations, and that's a lot of work in and of itself. So how are you guys taking the time to take care of yourself right now?
So for me, exactly like Kennedy said, it's very draining. I feel like I haven't felt so drained in my life. And I think I saw the same tweet you did that you were talking about, Kennedy, about the 120 people being killed. And I'm like, it's just insane that this is what we're fighting for, but still the same things are happening right in our face. And it's just it's really too much. But for me, sleep, I have to sleep because I think, well, at least when I sleep, it's I'm in a whole other world. I get to relax, kind of just let everything loose. And that's my favorite thing to do. So I sleep. I've been getting into reading. I've been working out, doing yoga and stuff. Like I've been picking up a lot of different things, especially since we've been in quarantine. So I kind of started those things. And I guess that was a great setup because now I really need those things to kind of alleviate all the stress that I've been feeling. And I've also had to kind of, like Kennedy said, kind of take a step back from social media. Like I'm the type of person that always wants to be in the know and know everything, that's happening. But with the times that we're in, that's just not possible for me, or else I'm going to be like a sad little duck, forever. So those are some things I've been doing to cope. And watching TV.
Yeah.
Me personally, I wasn't really active on social media before this movement really kicked up. Once it did, I started posting. I think my record was like 12 stories in like one day, which was a lot for me considering I did like none for like 2 weeks straight. Mm-hmm. But it does get draining, and I'm really grateful for the friends that I have around me. My friend Bree, she's white. She's an excellent person. I was so drained from like protesting and things like that she called me from a protest. Like she went to the protest and called me just so I can like be there, even though I'm not there because I was like really tired. But just that was like a lot of help, especially as like an ally, to show like this is actually something that means something to me personally. It's not just because you're my friend or because you're Black. It's because I think that you really should have equality and you should be treated just like me. So that was a lot. And that really helped me to like calm down. Besides that, I've been like doing some projects around the house, a lot of DIY stuff and DIY stuff. And that's kind of why I was late today. I was doing stuff in my car. Completely lost track of time. But it's been calming my nerves, and it's been like, allowing me to like wake up and not have that thought of like, I don't want to check social media because something else could be happening. Like we all know what's going down in South Philadelphia right now with 120 cops protecting a statue of Christopher Columbus and some neo-Nazis and stuff like that. So it's just like, I don't even want to check that right now. I really just want to take my mind off of it as much as I can. And, once I feel like I'm energized enough to get back into the movement and fully press is when I want, jump back in. I think that that's better than trying to kill yourself and trying to protect yourself at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you took that time this morning. Mental health comes before this show. So thank you again for being here. And you all just mentioned that we're still seeing people die. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, those are some of the names that are at the forefront of these protests, but there are so many names that aren't being mentioned. Rayshard Brooks was just killed. The fact that people are still dying, Black trans women, like there's so much here. What does that tell you? I mean, we're seeing some progress, right, with some legislation, some little baby steps, but what is the fact that people are still dying and it's still being brought to the attention of the public? What does that tell you?
It makes me feel like, or it tells me that like they don't care, whoever they is. That's exactly, it's like a slap in the face. I mean, when I saw that video and this is in regards to Rayshard Brooks, and some people were like, he shouldn't have resisted. I'm like, it doesn't matter if he resisted, he shouldn't have died. Mm-hmm. Or like, it's first of all, it comes with the territory. People are gonna resist arrest all the time. Like you can't shoot a man, especially it's just in this climate. It just felt like so like a slap in the face. And I felt like, as much as like we're seeing, like you said, baby steps and a little bit of progress here and there, it makes it feel like we take one step forward and then 2 steps backward, because like I've been saying this for a long time too. Like it starts with people. Like people have to look within themselves and in their hearts and just find love for other people. Mm. Like there's no way like we're going to be able to grow as a country, as a people, if everybody doesn't love everyone else and just see everyone as an equal, you know what I'm saying? So that's how it made me feel. It was very like discouraging, and seeing like people being lit or hung from trees, it's like ridiculous. I'm like, in this day and age, like I don't understand. So I'm like, how can it happen? But yeah, it's scary. It's a really scary time to be Black, to be honest.
I would also say like one thing that I saw on social media that really kind of just resonated me was the fact that they were saying like police shouldn't be killing guilty people as well. Like they also should have the chance to live. Which I was like, I mean, yes, I never even thought about it that way. Like, why are they killing? Even if they are guilty, like people just shouldn't be killed in the hands of police unless it is absolutely necessary. But even then, like, try to save as many people as you can. But I just wanted to add that.
I wanted to add something about Rayshard Brooks' case. That one hit home, like directly home for me. I watched the video of his conversation with the police officers, and at no point did I feel like it was going to go down that way. If I didn't know anything about that, if I didn't know that he died at the end, I would have thought that this was just a regular old stop, and that was just the end of it. But watching it and him being so calm and saying like, yeah, I was sleeping in my car. I can walk to my sister's house. She lives literally down the street, or you can give me a ride there. It's not a big deal. I'll leave the car parked here. He even admitted that he's not in the condition to drive right now. He was doing like so much to be courteous to them, and to find out that he still died is just like, come on. Like, this is why people are protesting. This is why I'm out there protesting. This is why I'm upset, because even when I try and be nice to you and I try and be courteous and we like, one-way street and we can say, hey, let's get it done together, you don't want to do that. Yeah. Like, you came out with the intentions to harm, and I just can't get behind that. And I think that, to answer your question, like, we're out here protesting police brutality as well, but cops are literally abusing people at protests. It's just like, how brave and how much courage do you have, and that this system is so broken that it protect you, that you will still abuse somebody that's protesting against the abuse that you're doing? It's just like, whoa, that's a different level of courage right there.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Nope, none of this does. It's like, but when you look back and you're like, how did we get here? It does. It does make sense. And it's really upsetting that, I mean, I don't know about your education, but I went to public school in a white suburban town, and the only time we talked about racism in this country was when slavery was abolished, and poof, racism went away. Which is, it's yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that like our country doesn't even acknowledge what's been going on. But
I can kind of, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
That's another thing that I'm an advocate for. It's like Black history education in schools at like all levels. Like, it has to be taught. Like, America has its history, and Black people in America have their history as well.
Did anyone else have anything to say about Black history education? Maybe like more education at Drexel?
I would just say education in general, because it's like the little lies that we've been told that I feel like get put into like the really big ones. Like, for an example, I grew up thinking that George Washington had like wooden dentures. Like, that's just what they taught me. And I found out, like, literally on Twitter, that his dentures were actual dentures, and his teeth that were in the dentures were pulled from his slaves. And it's just little stuff like that really change your perspective on like entire outlooks. It's just like, if you lying to me about a pair of dentures, like, what else are you lying to me about that I don't know? So I feel like now you can't really depend on, public education. You have to educate yourself. So, I mean, getting that education is important, but also just educating yourself while you're in that education so that, you're covering all bases is important. It's sad that it's something that we have to do, but it's something you have to do, especially during these times, because, we have been lied to, and it's crazy to think about, but it's true.
What I was gonna say was, like, I just remembered when you talked about the like lying thing. It's like also like when they teach about slavery, it's just like, okay, it happened, and then all right, let's move on to the next thing, because I guess it's like an awkward conversation. But I feel like in schools, the conversation has to be had so people can understand, especially like young white kids growing up, especially if they're in a home with like white supremacists or something, just to know like that was the wrong thing. It shouldn't have happened. And like, we have to talk about it, and we have to make it clear, like life cannot go on like this, and also teach how it's manifesting itself in today. Like, they'll just say it happened so many years ago and now we're here, but like, we ain't nowhere, to be honest. So yeah, that's my thought on that.
I was a TA at Drexel for a freshman class. And at being as though Drexel is a PWI, primarily white institution, you come across a lot of different upbringings. And these upbringings, these things that, you know, people are taught when they were kids, it doesn't go away easy. And I can tell you it's harder to make it go away when they're not told that they're wrong. And not, you know, told in like a disrespectful way when they're not educated that they're wrong. That's what I meant to say. There's so many people that I've talked to who are, you know, hard Republicans or even some Democrats that are very racist. And, you know, they haven't gone inside themselves to see the biases that they have and see that the privilege that they have. And, you know, if you don't have the conversation to say, this is what's going on, so let me know tell me what you think about it. Tell me what you feel and what do you think is happening. If that conversation doesn't happen, we can't have a conversation about policy change, because policy change only happens when a majority of the population agrees that this is a problem. But if nobody's talking about it, nobody's educating about what's going on, nobody's going to believe that it's a problem. Yeah. So I am wholeheartedly behind the statement of the conversation needs to happen.
This is a lot, and I just want to say, like, I have more questions, but I really appreciate you guys coming and talking to our show, because everything you've said is just so powerful, and I really think people need to be listening. And I mean, I feel like just one thing can change someone's perspective, and that's something that we're seeing. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement didn't just start yesterday. It's been happening for years now. But I really think that we've seen a public, the perception of Black Lives Matter has changed. Before it was seen as more of like a radical group, and now it's just seen as like a civil human rights group. Like, this is just something that needs to happen. And we've seen, like, it's not Black Lives Matter more, it's Black Lives Matter too. So in your opinions, how has the media's coverage changed that perspective? Or what do you think about how the media is covering these protests and these deaths that are happening and the police brutality? Just all of the above.
I think it's been terrible. And then, like, talking to especially older adults, they're not as active on social media as much as we are, especially like within, like, I get all of my information from Twitter, like, because it's real time. Now sometimes I do have to comb through stuff and figure out like what's what, but like, it's been giving me more information than the media has, and what the media has been showing is very skewed things. And like you were saying before, like, we know a lot about the looting than we do the own movement itself. So the media in general is skewed to one type of perspective, and that's across all boards, across all political parties, because they two wings of the same bird. So, you know, you get one perspective from the media. You don't really get like the actual truth. So I think it has been horrible as far as, you know, covering certain things, because a lot of, you know, my parents and their friends don't know what's going on. They don't actually really know what's going on. Like, the other day I had a conversation with a parent of mine, and they were saying like how they're so upset about the looting and different stuff like that, and how the protests are terrible. You know, they were telling me, don't go out and protest. I don't want you to do that. You know, they're dangerous. People are crazy. And I'm like, you really don't know what's going on. Like, it's not, you know, the people who are protesting. Sometimes it's people who are being paid to protest, you know, who are coming in, setting up bricks themselves so that other people can throw them. You know, it's the police. And it's not all the police. It's certain types of police officers that are, you know, engaging in these certain acts, you know, and I know Trump has been getting a lot of hate for him being a president, but I do thank him for putting this out on the forefront. And I'm not saying he did it in a positive or a negative way, but I'm saying he's the only president that a type of movement like this has been under. And I think that is important. And I'm not saying, you know, I agree with everything that he has done, But I'm saying that one piece that has come out under him, because no other president has done that. So I think that's very important and something to really look into.
Before we wrap up, I want to bring the conversation back to Drexel specifically, because it's where we all go to school or went to school, Khalil. But I know that a lot of the conversation, especially from the media, has been around police reform. And we need police reform. We need prison reform. The whole defund the police conversation. But the Black Lives Matter movement is about so much more than that. And we're seeing a lot of things come to light besides just the police. So how do you think, what do you want to see, what changes do you want to see enacted at Drexel by the administration, by the student body, that you really think will make you feel better being a student that goes to this university and making future Black students who go to this university feel more confident and more comfortable attending Drexel?
One thing I definitely want to see.
Your background changed.
Yes, my laptop was on 3%.
Smooth transition.
One thing I really want to see from Drexel is I want to see a bigger Black population. Right, Drexel is in University City, or as a native calls it, down the bottom of West Philadelphia, which is a predominantly Black neighborhood. However, I studied Criminology and Justice at Drexel. I was the only Black man in the major the entire 2 years I was there, which is just like, come on. Like, there's so many promising kids that you can give an opportunity to, but you don't. And it's just like, what's going on there? And I get that we have a Black population, but me personally, I feel as though it's just like to say that we have one. So John Fry's email, his recent email with the promises to the Black community at Drexel, I loved it. I really hope to see it through, but I definitely want a bigger Black population. I'm not saying make it a primarily Black institution, but 7% of your student body is just, that's embarrassing when you're in a neighborhood of a predominantly Black neighborhood.
And it also makes me wonder, like, how does that happen? Like, it's not representative at all of, like, the city that we're in. But I also agree with you. And like I said earlier, more Black faculty and staff. I hope the center is good. And I would also advocate for more Black education at school, like, for everybody. Because everybody needs to learn, like, these are young adults. And some of them, maybe many of them, don't have the correct education that they need. They may not be getting their news and information from the places that's correct. And I hope that if we do have this Black Cultural Center, it'll be a place for, like, great education, so people can understand why we're here and what we're doing right now. Because I think a lot of people I don't know if they just refuse to see it or they're just, like, oblivious. I don't know.
Can I add to your class recommendation that we should all take a class? I think that there should be a prerequisite for everyone at Drexel, as just, especially since, again, we're in a predominantly Black neighborhood, there should be a class that, helps break down the stereotypes that are given to African Americans, number one. Number two, educate you in the struggles of the African American in America. And then number three, hopefully break down your own biases so you're not walking around clenching your purse because a Black kid just walked next to you on the Wawa. Like, these are things that need to happen. I think that there should really be a prerequisite for that.
Yeah, so I actually worked with the Office of Equality and Diversity for that prereq. Supposed to be out this year. We'll see how that went. It hasn't gone through. So the chief officer is not here anymore. So, we see how far that went. Now, am I saying they're never going to do it? I don't know. But I have personally tried, and that's where it fell. But, yes, I do agree with what both of you are saying, and what I'm constantly telling the administration at Drexel is that you can't say you're a diverse school and don't know how to, display that diversity. You can't say, because it says it in the policies, we're a diverse school, we're here to make it, a safe sanctuary for all students. I don't feel safe. And I know a lot of other students don't as well. And it's not just our Black students. Like, our foreign students are being mistreated as well. And I think that's another conversation that we have to have. You know, it's not just our Black students struggling, it's all of our students, because we are a diverse university. And with that, we've all had different upbringings. So I mean, again, I'm going to try to go to the OED again, because we were going to have it for University 101, because that's a class that everyone takes. We were going to try to put in, bias training, microaggression training, just different stuff like that, so that it's not, yes, Black people, we need to learn how to treat our fellow Black brothers and sisters, but also everyone here, because our school is so diverse. That's something we can say. Like, I've not been to another school that has been as diverse as ours, but like I've said before, like, they just don't always know how to really take care of us, and that's where we're seeing those issues. So I feel as though, the other two were saying, we do definitely need a class, definitely, because it's something that's lacking, and it's showing not only in our students, but our staff and faculty as well. They also need that training, and they have it, but I don't think they use it. So not the kind of thing, but it's been shown, and you can ask not only our Black students, but our foreign students as well. There's been a lot, especially those microaggressions, have been really forward in our classes.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, that could be, we can say it's the fault of the university as a whole, but like Kennedy said way earlier in the call, we all need to be educating ourselves as individuals. There's no excuse to be able to say like, oh, I didn't know, because the information's there for you. There's plenty of free available avenues for you to find on the internet that you can educate yourself with. So just for our final question, I just want to ask you guys, what Drexel is a PWI, like Khalil said. That's just a fact. What do you have to say to your fellow Drexel students about what's going on, changes you want to see them help to make? We have Drexel United, but not every single student is a part of that group. Or what can they be doing on their own time? What do you want to see from the student body?
I would say, like you all were saying earlier, I would like to see like everybody taking the time to really educate themselves, because that's where it starts. And also like everyone using their voices to speak up and to stand up for what's right. And also, just real quick to go back to like the prerequisite thing, I was just thinking, I've been saying this the whole time, like this is the time to really ask for things, because people are in a giving mood right now. So like this is the time to really put things in place and put the pressure on and ask, because if you don't give it to me, like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? So I think everyone should be using their voice, like, and also if you can, educate others as well. Like whatever knowledge you have, share that knowledge, encourage other people to share their voice, go to protests. I want people to just be supportive, and also to be like cognizant of the fact that this is very draining for Black people. So just be aware of that, and don't be inconsiderate or insensitive.
One thing I would say is do the work, but don't do all the work. I've led a protest in a town hall last year based off of racist remarks that was given to the Black student body. But one thing that I did notice is that with trying to help the higher ups, they also expected me to do all the work, and that's not my job. So just a piece for everyone, if you are going to make that change, make sure you're not the only one making the change. Make sure that other people are involved in the process as well, especially those higher ups, because they're, not to come at them, but they're the people that need the education the most. It's just that. Otherwise, we would see change throughout the whole school, because they have that power. But students have more power than you think. A lot more power. I didn't realize that myself until I figured out that we needed to take a stand. And once I figured out how much I could get my hands into, it was like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. Really just making those higher ups actually do what they have to do. Like, I shouldn't have to tell the Office of Equality and Diversity how to create, microaggression training and bias training. You should know how to do that. You should, if I say, hey, we need that in, University 101, you should already have that ready and just set it out. Because that was what the problem really was. They didn't really know how to go about it. And it's just like, if you're the Office of Equality and, diversity, you should know how to teach diversity. If that's one of the main things that you do. So, mind you, and there are people in there who do know what they're talking about. They just can't always get to the powerful positions that they need in order to get these things out. I know a lady I worked with, Rima, she was amazing and actually helped me create that training. And she was a part of OED. But our problem was we couldn't get, the chief and all the higher ups to actually pass this training. So learn what you need to learn, but make sure you're not doing all the hard work, because at the end of the day, you're a student. That's not your job. You shouldn't have to teach people about how to be safe at your own school. So that's something I would leave to everybody else.
I think what I would say to future students and students right now at Drexel is don't give up. Honestly, I know it's hard. I know it's very tiring, but just don't give up. Keep pushing, keep protesting, keep writing petitions, keep sending emails, keep doing whatever you're doing to help push this movement. Even if you're donating to causes or donating to bailout funds, keep doing it. The road certainly isn't easy. It hasn't been easy. It's never going to be easy, but we have to keep fighting. And I think that speaking from my own experience with, who faculty that I know and have a relationship with Drexel, at Drexel with, is they're here for you. Reach out to them, right? The head of my department, Dr. Robert King, reached out to me with an email a couple of weeks ago when everything started happening. He was just like, hey, I just want to make sure you're okay. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, and, just let me know. And that really was reassuring to me. Again, I'm the only Black man in the major. So it's just like, to even have a professor reach out to me and say, like, are you okay? How can I help? Send me a link to donate to, things like that. And just like, that's awesome. So reach out to your professors, reach out to your faculty. Like Kennedy said, there's people who in administration that, want to get things done, but are a little, puzzled as to how to do it. Like Kennedy said, do the work, but don't do all the work.
Yeah.
Definitely reach out to them. Like, this is how we're going to get change, and I think it's going to come.
Well, I just want to thank you all for the 10th time. I can't thank you enough for taking the time and the energy and the space to share your perspectives to the student body and talk to me. I feel really motivated by this conversation and really enlightened, and I'm just blown away. So I'll let you guys have the last word, and then we'll wrap it up.
I want to say also thank you, Alex, for inviting us here today, and also for using your platform to share and get our voices heard. I hope that this really does touch people and people take lessons from this. So thank you too as well. And the last thing I just wanted to say was, like, first of all, it's not enough to just be against racism or just say, I'm not racist. You have to be anti-racism, and you have to be actively anti-racist. And I also feel like this is a time, like, we need radical change. Like, we've been calling for change for a long time, and it's been a long time coming, but this is the time where, like, things need to be, like, done. And we have this moment right now before us, so I think we need to use it to the best of our ability.
No, thank you. Even with, not being a part of undergraduate anymore, it's still nice to be, called on and recognized. It's not easy doing things like this. So, like, I really appreciate you taking the time out and actually creating this and calling us up together, because it does make a difference. Even if, not that many people watch it as much as you would like, just knowing that, we could be a part of something like that is really, really huge. So thank you.